各位傳媒朋友好。
Media friends, welcome to today's press briefing. The speakers today are Dr. Choi Yuk-lin, Secretary for Education, and also Mr. Esmond Lee, Deputy Secretary for Education. Dr. Choi will first give an opening speech, and then Mr. Esmond Lee will explain the facilitation measures, and then we will take questions. Now, Dr. Choi, please. Good afternoon. The Hong Kong SAR government is very concerned about the situation encountered by Hong Kong students who intend to pursue undergraduate studies on the mainland in terms of securing an entry quota. After understanding the situation, we have immediately liaised with our mainland counterparts. The central government and the relevant local governments have responded actively through multi-pronged measures. A number of facilitation measures will be offered to students in Hong Kong. The HKMAO, the Hong Kong and Macau office, will establish a task force together with the Ministry of Education and other central government units as well as local governments. They will implement the facilitation measures to address the students' pressing needs. We thank the central governments and for the coordination as well as the cooperation of local governments to care for our students' needs. First of all, the Guangdong provincial government has allowed Hong Kong students to use the care corridor of the land border crossings so that our students would be more likely to get a quota to enter Shenzhen and Zhuhai. And also, quarantine hotels will be arranged. With the coordination of the central governments, there will be more passenger flights between Hong Kong and mainland cities, and prioritized booking will be made available for Hong Kong students so as to take them to different cities for education purpose. And also, we have discussed with the Macau government. If needed, Hong Kong students can quarantine in Macau and then enter the mainland via the airports. We believe that the arrangements can address the needs of most students intending to pursue higher education in the mainland. In the event that some students are not able to report to their schools in time, with the coordination of the Ministry of Education, mainland institutions will deal with the situation flexibly, reserve the school place for the students, and also arrange for online study. We will fully cooperate with the above measures to assist Hong Kong students. We have prepared electronic forms for students intended to use the facilitation measures to fill in. We urge students to fill in the form early on or before the 26th of August, that is this Friday, so that we can make appropriate arrangements. After receiving the filled-in forms, we will consolidate the forms and forward them to our mainland counterparts for identity verification and implementation of facilitation measures. When the procedures are completed and when results are available, after informed by our mainland counterparts, we will send emails to notify the students. Please note that as a special measure, the facilitation arrangements may come with a very short notification period. As a result, students should be prepared to travel on short notice. We wish everyone a smooth journey to their schools. Now we invite my colleague to explain the details of the scheme to the public. Thank you, Dr. Choi. Now the current situation, according to our information, there are some 18,000 Hong Kong students who are going to pursue higher education on the mainland for the 2022 and 23 academic year. 3,000 of them are first-year undergraduate students who need to report to their schools. We believe that a number of students have not returned to Hong Kong or have entered the mainland on their own initiative. Like the Secretary said, there are some students who are still unable to secure an entry quota or not able to book a place on a flight. And as we understand, most schools in the mainland would begin lesson on the 1st of September. Now, with the coordination of the central government and the support of central departments and local governments, we will address the entry needs of students in the shortest possible time. Now, for land crossing, as mentioned by Dr. Choi, the mainland authorities have included Hong Kong students as eligible users of the care corridor of land crossing, and quarantine hotel rooms will also be arranged. In terms of airports, there will be more passenger flights between Hong Kong and mainland cities, and prioritized booking would be made available to Hong Kong students. In terms of facilitation measures, we expect that for a small number of students, they may not be able to report to their higher education institution in time. Now, with the coordination of the Ministry of Education, schools will take flexible arrangements and reserve a place for the students and arrange for online schooling. Now, for students who would like to apply for the facilitation measures, we have prepared an electronic form, personal details, and basic documents, including a proof of enrollment or a student ID card that would be required. Students who would like to apply for the facilitation measures should submit the electronic form on or before this Friday. In terms of the procedures, we will consolidate the information submitted and then forward them to the mainland authorities for verification and implementation of facilitation measures. After the relevant procedures are completed, the mainland authorities will notify the Education Bureau, and then we will notify students via email. Now, in practice, for land crossing, we will notify the students whose identity is confirmed. Students can then log on to designated websites to secure an entry quota to Shenzhen and book a place in the designated quarantine hotels. For airports, after identity is confirmed, within a dedicated period, students can enjoy priority booking through a special means offered by the air company. Now, as we have said, we hope all potential users of the facilitation measures to fill in a form to give us some basic information. And then we will follow up on the details so that the students can start the journey as soon as possible. Now, some points to note. We urge students to fill in the forms on their own to avoid a leakage of personal data, as personal data would be required by the form. And also, before they submit the form, students should verify the information provided, especially the latest dates of travel to mainland, so that we can forward the correct information to our mainland counterparts. And also, we would communicate with students via email. So applicants should check their email accounts frequently. And as the Secretary said, the notification period might be very short. We advise students to be prepared for travel on short notice. We have emails, WhatsApp, and WeChat, as well as a hotline available. If you encountered any questions while filling out the form, please call us via WhatsApp or email. Thank you. Thank you, Secretary and Mr. Lee. Now we will take questions. Please identify your media organization and please be brief in your questions. The gentleman in gray. Good afternoon, I'm from Wenwei Pao. Now, the forms should be submitted on or before the 26th of August. What about a late submission? Now, for forms submitted before the 26th, when can the students start the travel as the earliest? Can they make it before the 1st of September? Now, actually, many students have entered mainland on their own initiatives. Now we are almost at the end of the summer holiday, so is the care corridor is a one-off measure.
First of all, why do we require the procedures to be completed before August 26? Because in our estimate, students are moving to the mainland by their own means, and many of them are not first-year students that require registration. So before August 26, we will have to ascertain how many students are stranded in Hong Kong that need to go back desperately. So we will handle those who need help as soon as possible. As to how many, we will be receiving the number and also the distribution, whether they are in the Guangdong province or outside Guangdong province or anywhere else. It all depends on the actual information that we receive, and then we will be coordinating with relevant authorities. We will try to deal with this as best we can. Today is already the 23rd. If the students can let us know in the first instance, then we will follow up in the first instance, and we hope that we will deal with this on time. Even if we cannot deal with this on time, then the students who need to register and attend school or university in the mainland will be given special arrangement. We understand that this humanistic care channel is really in need, and during the COVID period it would be difficult to increase the quota. So this is an exceptional situation, and it took concerted efforts on many parties for the arrangement to be put in place, and this is really an exceptional arrangement. We do not see the prospect of making this a standing arrangement. So we urge the students to take full advantage of the opportunity in the mainland to understand more about the mainland, and they should minimize the burden on the border crossings as much as possible. Cable news, 2 questions. You said you will give priority for the students to book flights and land transport. Under what circumstances would you consider charter flight or designated transport? What number would it be? Would you consider that? And if the students would like to, I believe the students fail to receive the notification after the August 26th. So what's going to happen? Now you said that short notice will be given for them to make the start. How short the notice will be? Would there be a minimum of 1 day notice? Right, in terms of land transport and flights, as I said, we still have to await all the applications to come in. Now, the Hong Kong students are distributed widely in the mainland. Now we have the Mainland University Study Subsidy Scheme, and about half of the students are within the Guangdong province, 20% in Fujian province. For the other provinces, they are distributed widely. If you were to use the chartered flight, it may be difficult to send them to their respective locations. So when necessary, we will be increasing the flight for different destinations and give priority for flight booking. I think this is the best possible assistance. As to designated transport, it all depends on the number of people and the capacity at the boundary crossings. But as a first step, we have to ascertain the precise number and get to grips with the true picture, and with the precise picture in hand, we do not rule out any measures. After August 26, students can still fill out the form, but we hope that on or before August 26, we should be able to understand the needs on the part of the students who need to go north for education. If for some reason students miss the opportunity, the platform will not be closing down on August 26. We do understand there may be some exceptional circumstances, and students can submit the information to us via this platform. It all depends on the timing and also how we deal with this. Right, the notification. Right, the notification can be as late as the day before departure. Gentleman over there, please. Secretary TVB. Now, the notification can be as short as a day before departure, and you're urging students to make advanced preparation for departure. What about the testing? Do they have to undergo testing before making their way to the mainland? And when they fill out the online form, do they have to submit the test results? And also, has the government got any idea how many cases will be involved and where they are distributed? Now, you mentioned that there will not be any designated land transport and chartered flight. What other measures are there to help the students? Last question. Today is the 23rd. They have to serve quarantine for 7 plus 3 days, so altogether 10 days. Would it be too late to offer assistance only now? Right, the testing and the quarantine arrangement it would be in accordance with the requirements of the boundary crossings of the different ports, and we don't have any exemption. In terms of flight booking and boundary crossing, we are according priority, but for other requirements like quarantine and so on, they have to observe the requirements of the respective places. As I said a moment ago, we understand that there are students within Guangdong and also outside Guangdong, and outside Guangdong they are more widely distributed. Now, there are some who are going for the first year, and there are some who didn't come back to Hong Kong, or they have made their way to the mainland ahead of time. So we don't really have any specific number who are still stranded in Hong Kong. So in this exercise, we're trying to get to grips with the precise number. By the time we receive from the students the notification that they're experiencing difficulties, we took action straight away to liaise with the central authorities and the local administration. And we were discussing all manner of means to help the students. Now, this involves various departments at different places, so it did take quite a bit of time for us to sort things out. And because of COVID, the demand for the quota is really keen, so it does take us quite a bit of time to handle this. Over there, the one in blue, please. AM 730. You mentioned some mainland departments are making provisions for some quarantine hotels. How many quarantine hotels will be reserved for the students, and what is the fee level like? If some students would like the family members to come along to take care of them, can they go with the family members as well? All right, first of all, as we said a moment ago, this is about the quota for making the crossing, and also the flight booking, that we're making it convenient for the students. As to quarantine hotels, it would be no different from other travelers. If they travel by land boundary crossing, If they are crossing via Zhuhai, there's a package together with the transport ticket for airport. There is an arrangement for hotel to be made available, and this is not something that they will experience difficulties with.
Now we target students who are undergraduates in the mainland, and they are of a mature age, and they can take care of themselves. So we would not make arrangements for their family members.
The first is, how many flights with mainland cities will be added, and how many students do you think the flights and care corridor can cater, as they still have to compete with others for the quotas? And also, do you think the Friday deadline is too hectic? And also, if students miss the notification email or the deadline of handing in the forms, what should they do? Thank you.
Okay, so I will answer the first part of the question and leave the quota after Friday to Edmund to answer. How many flights we cannot? We still have to collect the data first. So now is offer the convenience for the student to if there's extra demands list, maybe we can arrange more flights to cater the students' need. But the exact number we don't have at this moment.
Yeah.
So,
on the quotas, we do urge the students to comply with the deadline of August the 26th, this Friday. And of course, as said by the Secretary, if there are any late applications, we will try our best to deal with it. But of course, you will expect that if your applications are past the deadline, then lower priority will be given to those applications.
The gentleman in black.
From SCMP, why were the charter flight not arranged in the first place, and what are the considerations? And why do the Bureau or the mainland government not consider letting students undergo the quarantine in Hong Kong instead of on the mainland? And why do the Bureau choose Macau as the interchange station but not other places? Thank you.
for the charter flights, as I have just mentioned, that the distribution of the students are very widely spread, so we can, the most direct assistance to the students are allocate more flight or increase the priority to offer the priority for the students to have a flight seat. So for the quarantine in Hong Kong, I think it's quite complicated or difficult at this stage. Okay.
Next question, please. The lady at the back. Good afternoon. I'm from Mainland Daily. Now, in dealing with the applications from students, would it be on a first-come, first-served basis? That is, if I submit the application earlier, I can start my trip earlier on. Or would you give priority to undergraduates? Now, our schools will start in 1 week's time. Would you consider setting up quarantine centers in Hong Kong for advanced quarantine in Hong Kong to save time? Now, if it is not feasible, is it because of our situation, academic situation? Now for a school, the acting principal is a teacher with a diploma only, so it is against the law, it's against the regulation. Now, previously, the EDB, the schools council was accused of intervening in the operation of schools. So what action will we take? So thank you for your question. Today's theme is on how to facilitate Hong Kong students to study in the mainland. So for other questions, please pursue them as other venues. Now, concerning the number of applications, we don't know the situation yet. There may be undergraduates and there may be postgraduates. In terms of, besides the nature of the degrees or the courses, we also take into account the geographical distribution. Say, for a more remote place, there may be a small number of undergraduates and postgraduates. So we are not dealing with the cases separately. Now, in terms of the quarantine measures, it involves the quarantine system in both places, and it is more complicated, and time is pressing. So we think the best way is to increase the quota for entry. Concerning a Chen Am Chang school, very briefly, we attach a lot of importance to the situation, especially when it is very close to the start of the academic year. We have sent our colleagues to investigate the matter carefully. I repeat that school sponsoring bodies have the responsibility to take care of the management of the schools in terms of human resources management and financial resources and so on. All school principals have the professional responsibility to discharge the duties in accordance with the requirements of the sponsoring bodies to implement the education policies. Now we are paying close attention to the situation, and we have sent our supervisors to make sure that the council is dealing with the matter seriously. The lady over there, Hong Kong 01. Now, under the epidemic, there are lots of competition for a ticket, and ticket prices are high. So how can you stabilize the ticket prices? Or otherwise, the students would have to buy expensive tickets. For underprivileged families, would you give financial support for their travel? As we said, we would meet the travel demand of students through a multi-pronged approach. In terms of flights or tickets for transport, it is the same for other travelers as well. So we encourage students to report to us any unreasonable prices. The lady over there. Good afternoon, Hong Kong Economic Times. Now, the EDB has convened this press conference today. So, can you tell us that? Can you tell us the number of applications already received, or the number of inquiries received, and what districts are we talking about? So, would you, concerning the increase of passenger flights, would it be limited to Guangdong or Fujian provinces? Now, just now the EDB has announced that the requirement would still be 2 jabs for full-day schools. Now, yesterday, some experts called for more relaxation requirements for full-day schooling. So would you consider lowering the jab requirements for full-day schooling and extracurricular activities? Now, concerning the number of inquiries received, well, actually, these inquiries were usually made to legislative council members. So there were no direct inquiries made to the EDB. Now, actually, organizations have offered help to students to return to mainland in advance. In terms of the number of additional flights to the Guangdong province and the Fujian province, we don't have a clear picture yet concerning the distribution of students. Once we have the data, we would liaise with the mainland counterparts and then tell the relevant airlines the number of students who would go to a certain city via a certain airport. We can only take the next step when we have more information. Now, concerning the start of the academic year in Hong Kong, the situation of the epidemic is still on a mild rising trend. So we appeal to the public to stay vigilant. Now, when we resumed half-day schooling, we saw sporadic outbreaks due to mask-off activities and outbreaks were caused. So we urge schools to pay attention to students' health and then balance the education needs.
咧，我都係想
Once again, I'd like to make the plea here. There are students who are unvaccinated. Now we require 2 shots at the moment, but the actual requirement is 3 shots. We're encouraging the students to take the 3rd shot, and the children can take the shot as young as 6 months, and so we urge the students to be vaccinated. Last 2 questions. The gentleman in blue, please. Now TV. 2 questions, if I may. The secretary said that she needs to know about the numbers before there will be an arrangement for the flights. How many flights will be arranged maximum, and how many? What is the quota that will be designated to meet the demand on a daily basis? In Shenzhen, the quarantine hotel places are rather limited. Will you give the undertaking that all the students who need to go back will be able to go back? First, about the capacity, as we said earlier on, this is a very difficult situation, and we are making this exceptional arrangement through concerted efforts. So we'll have to review the capacity depending on the needs, and also depending on the actual ability to cope. And we will try to strike a balance, of course, and we will accommodate the needs of all the students who need to make it back for university, but we'll have to have regard to the situation. If we cannot accommodate all the students before the university begins, this platform will remain for some time, until such time as all the students can be arranged. It may take a fortnight or so longer. That there are more than 10,000 students who are attending schools in the mainland, but the first year undergraduate, the number stands at 3,000, and we anticipate that the actual situation may not be as bad as we make it out to be. So we will review the quota on a daily basis and make the arrangement accordingly. The maximum capacity, we will have a look at the land border crossing and also the airport situation. We cannot tell you the exact number. And that's where we end the press conference. Thank you all very much.